The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guests and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of S4, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast or reproduction of this broadcast or podcast without express written consent of S4 is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Because we don't understand how life formed, it is difficult to estimate this probability. The likelihood of a complex molecule like DNA being created by random collisions of atoms in a primordial ocean is fantastically small. In an infinite universe, it would happen in some places, but they would be very far apart. If we want to find advanced intelligent life, our best bet is to listen for radio signals.
Look up to the stars and the forest that surround. Do you see them? Do you hear them? Are they there? SpacedOutRadio.com presents S4 with Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper and friends. Also, take the time to join the Forest Moon Paranormal Facebook group.
I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque.
Conspiracy, Area 51, Dogman, Ghosts, Cover-Ups, UFOs. The hidden will reveal itself.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go live on S4 with Eric Cooper.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S4 with Eric Cooper, broadcasting live from the beautiful mountains of Concrete, Washington. Tonight we are having our monthly team show, where our panel will be members of the Forest Moon Paranormal team. Tonight on our panel we have Eric Markham, our Forest Moon Paranormal scientist, Sarah Camp, our Forest Moon Paranormal medium, Bonnie Smith of the Forest Moon Paranormal Astral Team, Sam Wynn of the Forest Moon Paranormal Aftercare Team, myself, Corey Reese, and your host, Forest Moon Paranormal's own, Mr. Eric Cooper.
Hey, good evening, everyone, or morning, depends where you're at. It's kind of morning. But, and I think we have Keith coming in. Outstanding. Anyway, folks, it is snowing like hell here in Concrete, and I have 11 inches. Well, wait. I had 11 inches this morning of snow. And, well, it's supposed to snow all week. So you might have to come dig us out of headquarters here in about a week. We have Donna
On my way.
from the right. We have Donna Cunningham from the Astral Team is actually, I believe, in Utah right now, driving here to move. and then we have Bonnie and Crystal coming next month. So, you know, it's kind of cool. The whole core team is actually moving to concrete. We had training today, which was great.
Awesome.
We actually went over the emergency action kits and the packs and what to put in them, that kind of stuff. March 10th is our next training, which is going to be occult symbology. And, you know, I get asked, why does the paranormal group need to know occult symbology? Well, very simple. You see it all the time on TV. These people go into cases and they see a pentacle, which is a pentagram with a circle. And they go, oh my God, there's devil worshippers here. No, actually, they weren't devil worshippers. They were actually probably Wiccan, and the pentacle is actually a very protective symbol. So if you actually knew occult symbology, you would know that before jumping on the devil bandwagon. Anyway, but yeah, we're not even going to take the training. The training's free. So how's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Good. Really good. Really good.
Not bad.
I'm looking forward to that.
Hanging in there.
Outstanding. And I think, you working on getting Keith in here, Corey? There he is. Okay. The only one we're missing tonight, folks, is our Keith Andrews. And I see he's online, so he should be in shortly. So, he's on. It's never. We're never complete without our alien race specialist. We just ain't. And, so we're going to start tonight with Bonnie.
Hello.
How have we been looking on case trends?
Still a lot worse in the last. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I know we've been working a lot with alien issues.
Yeah, we have a couple serious cases like that are requiring a lot of our attention right now that we're working on, and that's been pretty heavy. But we've mostly, besides that, no demons this month, huh? That's a good thing. We have had quite a bit of shadow figures and entities and things, some spirits that were upsetting people in places. And we had kind of like a little quiet time here, but we're getting hit now. It's starting to come in. Several new cases are starting up right now as we speak, or will be on the makes. But yeah, we have a pending case in New Zealand. We still do quite a bit. We've done several trips to Australia.
I want to bring this up because, it seems shadows are being talked about more and more of late. So what do we see as shadows? Are shadows spirit? Are they entity? Are they alien? Or are they other?
They could actually be any of those, because you really got to figure out the energy on them. Yeah. Some shadow, people are different things, so it depends on what the shadow is, and they can take many different shapes. A lot of them are tall and skinny, look at human forms. Some of them are smaller and bulky, and some of them are dark black and just look like some kind of animal,
It's perception.
Right.
It's really by the energy of each one.
Guys, I was just going to say, if you could go into, as the astral team, how do you identify which is which?
By reading their energy and by watching and observing their behavior and looking into their mind. You can tell, whether, a lot of Native, I've also seen this, a lot of human spirits, Native American, that appear to be shadow figures. So, you got to figure that out. After the more practice you have doing it in astral and seeing different things, you kind of get, an idea. Then you still see something every now and then, and you really don't know what it was exactly. But that's how, Most shadows aren't nice.
No, and I know some shadows can actually be spies for whatever reason or another. You've got some in the magical world whether they're pagan, whether they're just magical in general, that actually send spies in the form of a shadow to watch people.
Mm-hmm.
And
I believe
are they bored? Probably, because why are you going to spy on someone?
Yeah.
But so while we're on this topic, Corey and I have talked about this before. Is you've got the alien race called the Rogue, and they appear as shadows. They appear as shadows, and they actually have what looks like a top hat and a cloak. Now, not much is actually we're in the peak of their season, because their peak time runs from January to March, going by trends. And they're usually in California, and they're usually, I know they have a base off the coast of California, one off the coast of Italy, I believe it is. And so we are in the peak. So that's one thing we need to watch for, is the shadows that have a top hat or a cloak. And they are a very vindictive race. Which is why I wanted to bring up. Which is why I wanted to bring up the shadows. Because you have so many teams, you have so many groups and teams out there that talk about shadows, and they're this and they're that. Nobody really knows what they are. We know what they are, like you said, based on energy. Whether they're spirit or some other kind of malevolent entity. Usually not very nice. You do have the spies. John's asking, could some of the shadow people be CIA agents astral projecting? Very briefly, the CIA is not going to take the time to astral project. They do have the remote viewing, but again, you don't see them. Even when the team is astral, you can feel their presence, but you will not see them. So when you're astral, you're not a shadow. Right. Yeah. The only thing that sees the team is dogs and cats. Because I know Tony's been on cases where the family dog followed him around. Other than that, the people don't see astral.
True.
The rogue race is, they seem to be a pretty aggressive race that just, I don't know, that's something you definitely don't want to mess with. That's for sure. I'm pretty sure we got Keith on here now.
We do.
Okay, good.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah.
Keith. Yay!
What are your insights of the rogue there, Keith?
Well, the first thing about them, I don't feel they're not likely off-world. And there's a couple of reasons for that. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't make them any less dangerous. But because these guys are too tapped into the old ways on Earth. But that said, go ahead.
But let me add to that though, Keith, because the Rogue have been seen in a flying saucer, which is why I put them in the alien category. They are actually in UFOs.
Oh yeah, but that's the nasty thing, is because when you're dealing with the Rogue, it's not just humans that they pick on. Okay, there is another, sad to say, that funny little thing called magic is actually all too real on this world. But the Rogue, if I am, and I will say if I am correct in my assessment of them, aren't from off-world, they're from inner-world.
Okay. And that would explain why they have underwater bases.
Yeah, quite well. Because the only other race that has fully functional underwater bases aren't from off-world at all. They're the fairy folk. And it wouldn't call them. It wouldn't exactly call them bases so much as, dwellings.
Right. Coral reefs and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. I are there any other races that you're aware of that are underwater? Because I've had cases where, clients said they saw UFOs go up rivers and things of that nature. That's not roads that I'm aware of.
No, that certainly wouldn't be rogue. But yes, there are a few that are quite literally from here. Not the least of which are the merfolk, which again evolved here, and this is why I've separated them into different worlds, into different categories. But I do know, needless to say, the octopods are waterborne, but they're a little easier to spot. They don't look anything at all like a human. I'm just trying to think if I know of one that is humanoid, because correct me if I'm wrong, but what you guys were saying was that they are humanoid in appearance, usually top hat and dang near tails.
Yeah.
Top hats and cloaks, which are actually their technology for being a shadow. As far as physical appearance, I'm not aware what their physical appearance is, other than in that when they're seen, they are shadows.
Yeah.
But they're the shadows with cloaks and top hats. And if you see them, it's too late. You're dead. That's the thing with the rogue.
Well, that's comforting.
Yeah, right.
We haven't encountered any.
Lord, I know who you're dealing with. If that's
they only feed, and I hate using the word feed, but they only feed January through March.
Not surprising.
Wow.
They're relatives of Untar, and they come actually out of the astral plane itself, which is why you guys would have a problem with it.
Right.
So I have a question: is there any other alien races that are using that type of cloaking type technology to make themselves look like shadows, where they're using some type of hat device or cloak device?
No, but there is one that's actually on world and does quite literally use the cloak, and it's more to function. It's not so much to hide as it is to maneuver in water, which, by the way, air works exactly the same way as water does if you know what you're doing with it.
Right. Especially with the swirling.
Yeah, and they're not off-world, although they certainly appear. Well, they're what many people know as Sagan.
Mm.
And essentially they're an amphibian race. But the cloak is used, the hat, quite frankly, the hat is simply more decoration than anything else.
Mm.
But the cloak itself is what they're using to actually, I guess the best word for it is conceal their appearance. Because it makes them look like only a cloak. Like just a shadow. It'll totally conceal their form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and now that we've got you here, we're actually we've seen an increase in the shadows, Keith. So we know there's alien races that appear as shadow people. We know that spirits can appear as shadows and other malevolent entities. There's not much benevolent that we've detected with the shadows. Do you know of any benevolent of anything that appears as a shadow?
Well, I do know the actual shadow themselves, the actual shadow folk, it's not so much that they're benevolent as they're not harmful.
Okay.
Okay, the other ones that could hide themselves quite well that way, and I hesitate to say good. I certainly won't call them malevolent because but you're dealing with the shadow walkers. And shadow walkers, they do fall into the category of when you find if you see them, you're too late.
Okay.
because and quite literally, they will feed on people. Okay.
Now, as in energy or life force?
Oh, like life force.
Okay.
The more advanced have figured out how to feed on energy itself, but the majority will feed on life force, and the reason they go after humans is because humans have more than other people. It's one of those nasty little benefits that mankind has developed that the other races haven't figured out yet. And it boils down to their will to live.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Have you ever encountered some of those yourself, Keith, in like Astral, when you're Astral, or had to deal with them? I haven't myself yet.
Well, the Shadow Walkers themselves, not very often. I run into them head on.
Like the rogues.
The rogues I've run into, and this is why I said they're not exactly what you would consider off-world.
Okay.
They are extremely nasty little individuals that will take out whoever is available.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about them.
You know, the trick with them is, and you guys on the astral plane can do it quite nicely, because the trick is to set up a cross current. In other words, essentially make your energy, or the energy of people you're dealing with, and I know you guys know how to do this one, where you make it incompatible with theirs by setting it up on a different wavelength.
Right. That's good to know. I mean, and essentially it could happen any day. You never know, especially if this is their peak time of season, you know. Good to have all the advice on that we can get.
Yeah, that's where it gets to be really annoying.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I think annoying is the best way to put it. But yeah, that's the easiest way to, if you will, sidetrack them.
Thanks.
Okay. You know what's curious is, you know, like Bonnie said earlier, we haven't had anything involving any literal demonic encounters this month.
True.
So those cases have gone down, which, you know, they kind of go in waves. They come and go. We've had more, I think, alien related involvement this month than we have most other. But again, Shadow was
it was actually down. Alien was down for the 2 months, like we didn't have the team show. To a point, considering what it had been, and then now it's back up, and the others are, you know, spirits, entities, you know, no demons right now.
I've noticed,
which is great. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, if I never see another one, it's never too soon for me. But you know, I'll do what you got to do.
I've noticed that there's been a fairly decent decrease in cases the last week or so. Overall, which is not bad. It's kind of nice to get a little rest, but yeah, just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
We've been in a lull, but that's fine because we have one astral member that is actually driving here. So yeah, we're down a team member until she gets here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a lull is fine.
Yeah, it's always nice on all fronts. It's kind of like, you know, like you keep telling emergency response people in the physical world, you know, if you can legitimately sit back without a problem, this is a good day.
Yes. They're waiting for us to all get there together to attack so we can all be doing it together.
Right.
Except from across the country.
And yeah, once the entire team is here in concrete at the sun,
you're muffled.
I said, once the entire team is here in Skagit County, then look out.
Absolutely.
Well, not all the team.
Give it time,
Oh, no.
Sam.
No, but yeah. So, Sam,
Yes.
since we got you on the show, so Sam is starting her own team in Tennessee. And go ahead and tell us the name of your new team and what are you looking for?
Well, it's all the preliminaries at this point. The name's going to be Hunter Moon Paranormal because, we are affiliated. And I'm not leaving Forest Moon by any stretch of the imagination. There's just so much here as far as old haunted plantation houses that people have moved in and renovating to homes along the Trail of Tears.
Oh, yeah.
What? And you say affiliated, and yeah, you're still Forest Moon, but having Hunter Moon Paranormal in Tennessee, we have a boots on ground in your area that way. Using your team with in conjunction with the Astral team, in conjunction with Markham being the scientist, with Keith being the all assets go to all boots on ground that we have. So yeah, you're just a branch off of what we do.
I'm just a branch office.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and you say
it's just like we have our Philippines branch, we have Rahul in India. We've got branches all over the place that work with Forest Moon as far as their own country. So,
but I'm just putting the basis of the team together right now. Need to get outfitted with equipment, that type of thing. But I've got a lot of people that are very interested in helping out, and that's what matters.
Good.
Oh, yeah. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Well, we've got all the FMP training and everything all on the Facebook group site. And then, of course, if you go into Spreaker, Eric has been good enough to put all the audio for all of that training on our past board there. So you can look all of it up in the archives and do all the training. And, once you got a team together, you can do all the training with them and get them all up to speed.
Absolutely. And I want to make sure that the team has gone through the training that is basically mandatory for Forest Moon, Boots on the Ground, and the paranormal, so we are all on the same page.
Right, just like Tessa does with Four Corners Paranormal. Which
right.
I know, I'm sorry, Tessa. Tessa's disgruntled and upset because she's not on the show tonight. She's in the chat room cussing us out. We'll have Tessa on next week, because actually next week's going to be an awesome show. We actually have Michael Hall coming into the show from the UFO Symposium in Ocean Shores. And what he's going to do, it's going to be after the symposium at the hotel, and he's going to see who he can pull into the show. So we have Daryl Sims, the alien hunter, who's going to be at the symposium. So he might be on the show. We'll see who he pulls in. Paulides is going to be at the symposium. If you can pull Paulides in, he'll be on the show. So next week is going to be a grab bag. We'll see who comes on the show, along with Michael. So going to be a good, interesting show next week.
Now, are we still going with the show title for that one? Let me see here. What was that?
We'll call it grab bag.
Well, it was UFO is UFO disclosure coming? That was supposed to be
right.
So we're gonna still run with that for next week.
We can. Okay. We can, because Michael Hall knows a lot about disclosure as well.
Okay.
So we'll just do a disclosure and UFO update for next week.
Perfect. Make that happen.
So, Keith.
Yes.
What do we know about the newest that's going on in the alien world?
Well, there's a lot that's been stepped up as far as the interaction on this planet. They're paying a lot more attention to quite literally the genetic impact on the subquantum level. This is one of the reasons why abductions are on the rise. On the whole, because they are looking at the impact of quite literally the socioeconomic impact of what's going on politically on this planet, because this is the turning point, and from an historical standpoint, it's incredibly exciting. When you look at the impact it's having on the neural net here, which, by the way, is the entire database. The other, but they've also got the 3 wars that are still running. It would be nice if they could get them under control, but it does show that just because they got better toys doesn't mean they figured out the idea of let's actually talk instead of killing people off. They just have more to kill than humans do.
Right.
But with that increase, there is also an increased push amongst the as you call them, the boots on the ground, to get the humans they're in contact with to actually start working together, which, in my opinion, is part of why we haven't gone to a full-blown war yet, because they're doing what they can to get people to stop pushing buttons to start with. I still, and quite frankly, one of the biggest concerns, of course, is this nuclear threat that they want no part of on the planet. They're not worried about people shooting each other. They're worried about people destroying the planet while they shoot each other.
Right. Yeah, because essentially they want the resources on the planet and the planet itself, and the humans are just kind of a perk, I guess.
Well, no. In all fairness, humans are the ones, because they are the most technologically advanced surface race that is actually native to this planet. In their case, they really are. Because of that, humans are supposed to be taking care of the planet. And this is, galactically speaking, Earth itself is kind of like the Library of Alexandria. So it's a question of maintaining that database, and humans happen to be part of it. But as long as they've got a few humans on the planet, then that aspect, that chunk of information isn't lost. You wipe out the human race, and you lose that entire chunk of data.
Right. Right. Now, I've got to find this chat. I was actually talking to a guy on Facebook, I think it was a week or two ago. And, no, it had to have been last week, so I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. So, we call them the consortium. But this guy's calling them the Galactic Council. That doesn't even sound, no, that doesn't sound right. How many different councils are there?
I've heard
of
all
those.
Consortium.
Right.
Well, let me put it this way. How many different councils are there? That's kind of like asking how many different political parties there are on the planet. However, depending on, as far as the consortium, as far as ones of that size, there's only one that I'm aware of. But it is possible, I don't know them by any stretch by the name everybody knows them by. So I'd be curious to find out what their doctrine is, or what their, I'm trying to think of what the actual word for it is, but what their guidelines are as to what they're doing.
It sounds like it's the same thing as what our consortium is doing. So that's why I'm wondering if he's being told one name, but it's actually consortium by what we know him as.
Well, he may be knowing them as the Galactic Council.
Right.
And if that's the case, you're dealing with the same people.
Okay. Now, Markham, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember back, oh God, it's been almost 2 years now, because, well, July is going to make our 2-year anniversary for S4. But back, one of our first few episodes when we did the UFO cult and contactee show, there's a woman that started the Nibiru Planet X stories. Nancy something or other, I think it was. And this guy is actually following her works, which kind of makes me shudder. Because, which is why I brought this to Keith, because, this guy's calling him one thing, we call it consortium, but he's actually following this woman and her beliefs.
Well, that's an interesting side.
Right. So, it kind of throws a whole confusion into the whole thing. Because you got 20 different theories and 20 different stories.
Well, I think a lot of the Planet X stuff, Nibiru stuff, came out after Zecharia Sitchin's work came out. Because he all but, laid down a course that Nibiru is where the Anunnaki live, and it swoops through our solar system, creating all this, horror and mayhem.
Well,
because it destroys our, anyhow.
Well, I sort of look at that the whole Nibiru Planet X thing as one little issue. If it were, now I won't argue whether it comes back around every 3,600 years, but were it just simply a planet cutting through the solar system at its size and subsequent gravitational impact, sorry about that. Quite frankly, it would cause havoc, all right. It would tear the entire planet apart, the entire system apart, unless it's not which is where my belief structure stands, is if said planet were a ship with gravitational buffer fields.
Well, it would have to be. It would have to be something like that. Otherwise, the solar system would look like a huge snow globe. And our calculations, when we send a probe to Jupiter, that takes it 5 years to get there. Unless somebody's taking it there, dropping it off for us, and then we're not getting the information for 5 years, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it absolutely not, because, Mark,
you wouldn't be able to calculate. It'd be like trying to hit moving targets from moving targets without knowing the trajectory of the next moving target. It just couldn't happen.
Or the direction you're facing.
I would be willing, I would almost be willing to bet that there might be a planet on the other side locked in a tidal or a perfect opposition with Earth. But haven't they, I thought they sent something up above the plane of the solar system, and then you would be able to see, anyhow.
Yeah.
A counter-Earth or a counterweight Earth, I could almost believe.
Well, do understand where it comes to Mobius. I actually found record of it, and God knows how I found it, but tied to NASA's site. NASA already knows about it. This is the thing that got my attention, is they already know about the one on the other side of the planet, on the other side of the sun.
Well, DC Comics knew about it before them, because I remember DC Comics talking about Counter-Earth years ago. And Marvel Comics, Stan Lee wouldn't lie.
Well, while we're on this, when were the Pleiades discovered?
The Pleiades?
By who?
Yeah.
Us.
Well, there's
by man, by humans.
Oh, there's a tribe in Africa that actually has knew about planets, or knew about some of the stars that are in the Pleiades that weren't seen until our first telescopes. But the Pleiades, as far as I can, I'm just starting to study some of the esoteric stuff, but the Pleiades is figured, in our mythology and in our astrology for over 3,000 years.
Well, heck, I know. I know from my standpoint, you're looking at well over 35,000 for humans to know about it.
Okay,
so I know Zeta is.
So I think the question is when is it officially discovered by, let's say, scientists in the U.S.?
And the reason I asked is because
they were a zodiacal force. God, I mean, they've been. I think that was probably one of the first winter. It's in the northern hemisphere. The Pleiades is tied in with the autumnal and the winter equinoxes because it becomes visible then. It's one of the strongest or one of the brightest constellations that you can see. So as far back as humans were looking at the sky, the right time of year, they probably noticed the Pleiades.
Right. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because we have the Pleiades Mountains here in the North Cascades, and I'm wondering. I'm about to do some research on when the mountain ranges were discovered, who named them, and what year they were named, that kind of thing. And Space Out Radio did their. I can't remember the guy's name, who the guest was, but he's the one who had all the experiences on the Pleiades Mountains. And we might be doing an expedition up there probably later in the summer, just to check it out with technology, with EMF, with some basic, tools and whatnot.
Well, that'd be a rush.
That would be interesting.
And you'll be here for that.
I know. Be here.
But yeah, it makes you wonder, why do they call them the Pleiades?
Yeah, it does me too.
There's Pleiadians around there.
Yeah, I don't think it was Pleiadians. Yeah, I encountered. I'm not sure. I didn't.
Well, I can guarantee for what it's worth, I can tell you there aren't true Pleiadians living there.
No, Pleiadians don't live in the mountains.
Oh, no.
Right.
On Earth, purebred Pleiadians would be dead. The atmosphere will kill them.
Yeah, so we don't have Pleiadians living in the mountains.
So they would be astrals. If they were there, they would have to stay astral.
Or they could be hybrids.
Or hybrids, yeah.
But purebreds, you'd have very limited access because they can't get onto the planet. Well, they can, but it's called transport, or transporter is more to the point, teleporter, basically. And they'd have to go to a completely sealed unit.
Wow.
Isn't their planet atmosphere much heavier and hotter?
Well, much heavier, much hotter, and quite frankly, for humans, it'd be just flat out toxic.
Oh yeah.
If you think back to World War I, if you remember the flavor of mustard gas, their atmosphere makes that taste like cotton candy.
Yeah.
What?
Which part of that didn't you get?
I think that was a noise of surprise.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, so we know reptilians live in the mountains. What other races that you're aware of live in mountain areas on Earth?
Well, what humans call dwarves definitely live up there, but as far as off-worlders go, you've got a number of different reptilians. You do have the elementals living up there.
Right.
Okay. The Nords and the Greys both come and go out of the mountain ranges, depending on where you are. Right, and of course, when you start getting into things like your amoebics, they've been known to show up there. The ones I get a kick out of are actually the multitude of plant-based ones, because it's very easy. And, of course, everybody virtually has heard of Bigfoot by multiple different names.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fairy folk, there's certainly different ones of them that are living up there. The water are up there.
I'm more concerned with the off-worlders.
With the which ones?
The off-worlders.
Yeah. Well, the water are off-worlders.
Okay, what about mantids?
Mantids are up and about in there, and so are the ant folk. The arachnids are also wandering around up in the further you get into the further you get up into the outback, the easier it is for them to maneuver and stay concealed at the same time.
Most of them cloak anyway, don't they?
Well, cloak or stay out of sight is more to the point.
Okay.
You know, I mean, even with humans, you know, if you take humans, military, when you're surveying an area, you know, other humans are going to stay quiet when you've got your active surveillance. Right. Well, these guys do exactly the same thing. They just happen to have better surveillance gear. You know, better surveillance or better concealment.
So can they get picked up by surveillance?
Can they? Yeah. Now here's the real kicker to it.
Okay.
Are the human scanners, if you will, going, like, is the military actually going to tell people when they find off-worlders on the planet?
Right. Well, because we're going to have a drone. Our drone will be in the air when we're going to have a drone that's equipped with FLIR, thermal, night vision, the whole 9 yards. So when our team is out and about, we will have eyes in the sky. That will be able to, like,
Question for
you know.
Do you have, because I don't even know if you guys have this one, but do you guys have something to pick up bioelectric interference?
No. I have no idea even where to go to get that kind of stuff.
If it's high enough, EMF will pick it up.
Say it again?
I said if it's high enough, EMF will pick it up. Because anytime that you have a magnetic interference, you know, EMF stands for electromagnetic interference. So.
Well, okay. What you want to look for is an echo. Okay. And, you know, and I realize we're talking about the echo of something extremely hard to spot in the first place. But that's the best way I can describe what you're looking for. Now, of course, for anybody in the astrofield that knows how to spot electromagnetics or spot the magnetic wave, if you look at the area kind of like echolocation works, but look at it from a magnetic location, then you're likely to spot it.
So, like Trippin is saying in the chat room, a compass, I would think, would pick that up as well.
Like an interferometer.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would take to make a magnetic interferometer. Just I got so much crap in my garage, I probably got the parts. I'll look into that, see if I can slap something together.
Trust our local scientists.
Born scientists here. Since the oatmeal jars, right? The oatmeal boxes.
Oh,
I hear
Marcus
Pringles
are
cans are
good.
really good.
Those old
Marcus are
crystals where you take a huge Quaker oatmeal box and spend the day winding copper wire around it for the tuner. Yeah, I remember those.
And that's why I love about having Markham on the show, because we start talking, his mind's going how to create something.
Yeah.
For sure. My other concern was being in the mountains, which is why I picked up Paul Leidy's book with the cluster maps of missing people. What's making them go missing? Which is why I really want to watch the safety of the team when it comes to going up in some of these areas. When we're talking about mountain ranges, you know, I'm not worried about wildlife as much as I am about unknown aspects that can harm us. You know, aliens is one thing. Walking into a wormhole, walking into some kind of a trying to think of the word. Time shift, whatever. There you go.
Well, you hit a time shift,
you know,
catch up with you in a few years.
But
you know,
because I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. But that's why I want as much technology as I can think of that will help pick some of the stuff up before one of our team comes up missing.
I would worry about the wildlife, because the wildlife is going to be an indicator of what might have also migrated into that area.
But that's true.
We're tramping around, as we're tramping around through there, any wildlife that, you know, that is going to be running.
Not necessarily. My hometown, we had a black bear walk through it the other day.
Yeah,
Cougars.
Well, my parents had one the other day too, and my mom yelled at it, and it ran down the hill like its head was on fire and its ass was catching. So you know, proving once and for all you don't screw with 82-year-old former school teachers.
Yeah, you know, I'm sitting here reading the chat, and yeah, Sandra's bringing up in Utah. They were going through a crater moon, and there was 2 women missing. Well, one was a doctor. That is one of Paul Leidy's pointers, is that a lot of these missing that are missing mysteriously are actually doctors, and they're scientists, and, you know, things of that nature. So, you know, I pay attention to Paul Leidy's work. And,
well,
you know,
let me play devil's advocate here for you.
Go ahead.
You know, I work, I'm in the medical profession, and I work with a lot of doctors and whatnot. And there's a certain amount of arrogance that goes in there, and I can see, and I have seen certain people in the profession take off in going places that they had no business going, and just getting in trouble because, you know, they thought that, you know, they thought that their natural arrogance was going to get them through something that it wasn't necessarily capable of getting them through. But what I'm saying in short is these people get themselves in trouble because they think they can do no wrong, and it just doesn't occur to them that they can screw up.
And agreed. You know, you got a lot of city folks that have no business being in the mountains. Doctors being one of them. And I hear you. You got to look at the patterns that Paul Leidy's identified. And doctors was just one of them. And then, of course, you know, he's got the whole book series on all the different areas and whatnot. I finally got my West Coast and Canada book today. So I'll be going through that and seeing if there's any areas up here that fit the pattern. And we are getting close to the top of the hour. It's been a quick hour already.
Yeah, we got a few minutes.
So before we get, I'm looking, but I don't want to get into any hot topics and have to stop. So we've hit aliens, we've hit shadows.
We haven't heard much
what
from
are some of the
Sarah.
other patterns? No, Sarah. So how is astral going for you, Sarah?
Yeah. Well, it started out really good. And then I felt like I had some more after effects from doing astral than just doing mediumship that I wasn't ready to handle. So I'm taking a break. Let's put it that way. But I feel like, yeah. Well, I don't know. I got kind of jolted on a case and had some bad after effects. So it was just different. It was kind of scary. So, you know, I enjoyed it though. I really got into the class, and like when I never thought in a million years I would be doing shielding for Bonnie, boots on the ground. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, it was definitely different. It's definitely different than mediumship.
When you're having trouble,
you're pushing energy out instead of.
When you're having trouble on the astral plane, or more to the point, after effects, do you mind if I ask what kind of after effects you're dealing with?
Well, I had an experience where I got pulled in on accident with another astral member, like to a place that I don't think I was supposed to be in. It was really heavy. I got hit like hard, like it hurt. So that was like a painful side effect. That wasn't very cool. I mean, I could literally only see the light from my shield, and then I felt like I got pulled out just as fast as I got pulled in. So then afterwards, it was like I had an earache for like 3 days. I experienced some minor activity at my house, which I'm not used to either. So I had to kind of bust out the fire.
Do you by any chance know how to phase shift in the astral plane?
Did I see spaceships? Yes, I did.
No. I said, do you know how to phase shift inside the astral plane?
Oh. No, I don't think so.
It essentially boils down to astral travel in the astral plane. And do understand, we call astral travel when you transition from the physical world into the astral plane. But there is a side plane that you can step into when you're in the astral plane that will stop you from having that kind of a complication without leaving the astral plane. Ultimately, you have to modify your biomagnetic field. Kind of the same way that you phase that you shift your senses when you're dealing with your medium work, but more on a physical level.
We'll be working with you more on that, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of remedied it by doing a lot of grounding. I put up my own shielding kind of thing. But my energy work, like that's been most important with astral. That's what I realized, is your energy work and your grounding. It's even more important than just doing mediumship, it's like...
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's
I can see you having a lot of fun.
I have to say I love it. Huh?
Okay.
I said I could...
I hate to interrupt this, but we do need to go and take a break. When we get back, I would like to continue this discussion, though, because this is some good stuff. So when we get back from break, We will continue our monthly team show. Tonight on our panel, we have Eric Markham, our FMP scientist, R. Keith Andrews, the latecomer but astrologer and alien specialist for FMP, Sarah Camp, our FMP medium, Bonnie Smith, our FMP astral team member, Sam Wynn of our FMP aftercare team, myself, and Eric Cooper of Forest Moon Paranormal as well. Join us every Saturday night at midnight Pacific Standard Time. You can find us on Spreaker.com, SpacedOutRadio.com, and The Fringe FM. Check out Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott Monday through Friday, and Spaced Out Weekend with Joe Roop Sundays, and Elizabeth Anglin and Cosmic Passport on Sundays, all at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also check out The Fringe FM with shows like Lighting the Void with Joe Roop and a plethora of other good shows. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at SpacedOutRadio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at SpacedOutRadio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Would you like someone you can trust to look into it? We have just the place. The SOR Sightlines Report is the place for you to find answers. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, ghosts, aliens, or anything strange, the Sightlines Report will get you connected with one of our expert researchers to find out what's going on. All of your personal information is kept 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report, a place for you to find the answers you need. Only at SpacedOutRadio.com.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on SpacedOutRadio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at SpacedOutRadio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed on tonight's show by tonight's hosts and guests are not necessarily those of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays, Spaced Out Sundays, or SpacedOutRadio.com. Listener discretion is advised. And now back for hour number 2, we have Corey Ruiz, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, and S4. You can find Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook. And for more information on S4, visit SpacedOutRadio.com. And now, here's Eric Cooper and Corey Ruiz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And for those of you just joining us tonight, we are having our monthly team show where we're discussing all the things that have gone on with the team and different experiences over the past month or so. On our panel, we have Eric Markham, R. Keith Andrews, Sarah Camp, and Sam Wynn, and Bonnie Smith. Welcome back, everyone.
And thanks for having us.
Woohoo!
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
Always a great show. And so we were talking with Sarah before the break about things she was going through on with astral travel. So I wanted to bring up some of the questions that we always get asked is, so what's the difference between remote viewing and astral? Remote viewing is very simple in that basically you're leaving your conscious mind and traveling to grid coordinates given to you by a controller. And you don't actually leave your body, you just leave your conscious mind, basically. Now, my theory with that is when you're given grid coordinates, and Keith might be able to clarify some of this too, when you're remote viewing, you can only view. You can't interact. You can be kind of detected by energy, and some remote viewers have actually been detected by other people. But my theory is the grid coordinates you're given are probably grid coordinates in the astral plane.
Ultimately, yes, but they're ones that coincide with somewhere on the planet. You know, somewhere where you can have physical comprehension of what you're looking for.
Right. Okay.
You know, so I mean, with remote viewing, you're looking at things that will look like Terran-based, normal corporeal items. In the astral plane, reality is a battle of wills.
Right.
That's true.
Now, with astral travel, because I had explained this today actually at training, with astral travel, you're ultimately, when you hear people talking about an out-of-body experience, a lot of times what they're experiencing is a precursor to astral. They're leaving their body, but they haven't quite achieved the astral plane. So these are people that either through a dream state, sometimes consciously, they look down, they see their body. They see that they're not in their body. That's what we talk about when we talk about astral travel.
Right.
With astral travel, you're actually consciously, sometimes unconsciously, because if you don't have any control over it, then that's where we help people as well. Now, with astral travel, we consciously actually look at a picture of the client, talk to the client on the phone. Some of our members do a Google map, find the address. That's how they lock onto it. Then they actually consciously leave their body. Now, their soul, their consciousness, leaves the body and goes to the astral plane. That is what we call astral travel. Now, the other question I get asked, are there dangers to astral travel? Yes, there are. There's a lot of dangers because there's a lot of things in the astral realm that you don't really want to deal with. And that's when I'm going to turn it over to Bonnie. So what are some of the dangers? What are some of the dangers we deal with on the astral?
We deal with the possibility, if we're not doing these, say, with demons, the possibility of possession, attack. We have even Bonnie got her butt kicked, and Donna, and I think Graham's been knocked down. You know, it happens. It does happen. You might as well be ready for it. But for not nothing like it used to be. I mean, it's maybe once or twice a year you'll get sidewinded by something. You know, I got hit in Australia not long ago by something that looked like a huge clown, and it just like almost took out my left shoulder, and it was really painful and hurt for days. You know, but I know that kind of goes with the territory, but gives you good incentive to get sneaky and fast and outthink them. Trust me. But yes, you have that. Death is a possibility. You have to really control your emotions and fear. You can't go in there and then you see all this stuff and then be freaked out, because they feed on that and they'll feed on you then. You know, it's a lot of things, you know, and physically, like, it can cause me a lot of insomnia. I think it's aging me quickly at times. I think that it does if I do a whole lot, you know, the more amount I've done this last year or two has been quite a lot. But yeah, there are dangers, you know, of being hurt, killed, injured, but it doesn't happen that often. And, you know, we're well aware of it, and we're committed to helping people get rid of the bad experiences if we can, or help them deal with them, because almost of all of us have had our share of those, you know, and before we got here, you know. So yeah, there are real dangers.
Let's face it, some of you have had more than your fair share. Way more.
And we have protocol. We do have protocols in place that protect our team, such as they come to headquarters before the astral to the location. They touch base. They do what they got to do. They come back to headquarters before they go home. That way, if they're followed, if they have attachments, things of that nature, they stay here. Headquarters is heavily shielded, heavily protected by multiple things. So we don't worry about headquarters. We worry about the team. So we do have protocols in place that protect the team.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they're always completely safe. They know how to cloak. They know how to go in, and sometimes we just go in and observe before we go in full combat mode, or you know, spirit removal, spirit passing over, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, we try to go in if we have multiple things going on, like a entity or a demon and human spirits in there. We try to go in and lock down that evil entity where it can't go anywhere, while we try to get spirits passed away and out of there first before whatever might happen after that. You know, it can get nasty. So that then it does scare spirits. You know, a lot of human spirits that might be around. I've seen them, you know, they might have been trapped there by whatever this thing is that's, you know, taking over someone's house and causing havoc. So yeah, we try to go in, shield everybody, animals, people first, then we go in, try to make sure, locate if we have to take it out in combat or whatever right away, we will, but we try to kind of isolate it, somehow freeze it, and then move, you know, the spirits and get everything safe, and then we go with the removal of whatever it is. If it's in a human, then we're going to circle the human and keep it in that area while trying to protect them so that it, you know, just can't go anywhere and then we remove it from them in a slow process sometimes of unwrapping it and getting it loose from the chakras and stuff.
Well, yeah, because if you pull it out too fast, you can do some pretty serious damage to the so-called host.
Yeah, you can't just pull, you know, and yes, dangerous.
And in a basic, simple case of just a spirit being passed over, we can usually come in, do it, and be home drinking coffee in about 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh yeah.
A more major case where you're dealing with an entity that is trapping a earthbound spirit. You're talking maybe 2 hours to 8 hours. Let's see. What's oh God, I know you guys were in astral for one case for 8 hours straight, I think it was.
Closer to
Oh yeah, we've been in some long ones, 5-6 hours. And I think it was almost 8 on one. One of the demons, maybe.
Actually, I can think of one
That
right
was-
now that you guys were there almost 14.
Yes, it's like sometimes you even lose track of it. You're there so long. You know, I do. You know, it's like when they just keep going on and on and on, you know. It's hard. Those are hard on you physically, mentally a little bit. Not so much mentally, but they do wear me out, you know. Those do.
Well, yeah, but that
Wears you out, but you can't sleep.
Well, when you're dealing with being in the astral plane for that long, your physical body is going to take a heck of a kicking.
Yeah, it does.
Trust me, from the person
Those
that
are one of the
supplies
drawbacks.
the person that supplies energy from this side of it, it can take a lot of kicking on that person too.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
And that will be you, Corey. You are one energy magnet.
Just from the
Corey, Brent,
standpoint-
Brent, Sam, they send energy and charge me and Donna up and us while we're out there in battle. Trust me, they're really great. They keep our blood flowing.
Happy
Yeah,
to.
and Corey's are a living battery.
Yes.
You do
Like the
know,
Energizer Bunny, you know.
you do know how the people in the astral plane actually want to keep your blood flowing, too.
What?
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad to say they want it flowing in a different direction than your veins usually go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
He drinks lots of coffee.
Yeah, I drank some coffee that day, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, you just have to compare him to the right person regarding how much coffee he drinks. I mean, I go through usually 30 cups before noon.
I'll see. I don't,
man.
I don't need that much
Right.
coffee. That would be rather intense. No, I've actually found that I have an incredible amount of energy within me that I can easily feed to the astral for them to work with, and it's worked out quite well. Though when you get one that's quite as long as the one I was talking about, it gets a little tiring.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it would.
Yeah, even you got tired after hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good to have that energy flow to us, you know.
I just like to be of service. I can't do the astral, but I know I can be a battery.
Well, I'm
Yeah, that helps.
there. You actually can do the astral. Just don't know how yet. Or don't remember how yet.
Let's roll with that. I need to learn.
No, wait, Sam, you do good on aftercare.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I try.
So Sam is on our aftercare team. Go into a basic. What do we do in aftercare?
Well, aftercare, there, you got me doing it now.
Welcome to live radio, people.
Right. My perspective is aftercare is just as important as every other stage of the care. But it's leaving that client with the feeling of, now I'm in control of my own house. I'm in control of my life. And that's what I try to empower the client with in the standpoints of knowledge. The first thing that I normally try to do is gain somewhat of a rapport with the client. So we'll say she, for example, is very comfortable talking to me. Then from that point, we go slowly through the different stages of smudging one's home, to grounding, to different ways that they can protect themselves and their family. And I always, I might take extra time with the client because through every step, I'm asking, do you understand? Do you have questions? So the client doesn't seem to get sidetracked.
So a basic case, well, there is no basic case in our team, but so running through a normal case, what's the shortest case we've done with aftercare?
Young lady and her son, very familiar with the Wiccan or native ways of doing things. Took about maybe an hour.
And what's the longest?
Client who, elder and Catholic. I had to go through every stage doing the natural and the Catholic ways of doing each of the stages, and it took me about 5 hours.
Okay. And so what we do too is we work with each individual client's belief system, and we try to cater around that.
Absolutely, while still teaching them FMP's best practices on how the natural way to do it as well.
Right. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that can be tricky because, you know, depending on how grounded somebody is set in their ways and whether, you know, that's going to work or not. That tends to be the tricky part sometimes.
Yeah. I always try to be very respectful, and I give the client the choice of, I can get the information on your specific beliefs, and we can do it that way, or I can teach you the nature way, or we can do both. What would you like to do? So every bit of it is in the client's hands and in the client's control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that is the key, is giving the client the feeling that they're back in control of their life. Which is why, you know, when we're boots on ground, and I've said this before, but when we're boots on ground, I always like to have the client do the actual smudging and teach them how to do it properly. Make sure they salt their drains. You know, the salt smudge or the salt cleansing of the mirrors and the windows. Teach them how to do it. Let them do it, so that they're taking control of their home or business, whichever it is.
Absolutely. And one of the nice things about doing aftercare online is I can give the client sources to get the materials if necessary, like give them a link to Amazon for a smudge kit, and, you know, provide URLs with information specifically about a Catholic a protection spell or something like that.
Exactly. Good job. And one of these shows we need to have Francie come on the show. Then she's our psychiatrist, and can go in. We'll probably do a specific show just on psychiatry or the paranormal as well.
Well, they told me I'm all right. They've already told me 3 times I'm sane, so I should be okay. But they did pay me.
How much did you pay him?
Oh.
Just thought I'd throw that in there in case somebody wants to block me up.
Right. So I'm thinking here. So let's pull Sarah in here. And looking at a picture, as a medium, can you tell looking at a picture if they're dead or alive, or if they've passed on, or if they're stuck?
Yes. Sometimes. Sometimes it's more difficult than others to discern whether or not the energy you're feeling is somebody that's actually dead or alive. That can be tricky. I've been wrong before, so that's why I feel like it's kind of hit and miss, but only in the way that I don't know, it's like a live person, you're kind of just picking up on maybe their state of mind, like, oh, this person feels depressed. It's kind of very present tense, whereas like when you're picking up on someone that's passed, especially if it's from a picture, you'll start to get information that, you know, coincides with the fact that this person is dead. So it depends individually on the spirit and how well they can, you know, relay the information. But when you're just kind of reaching out there to fill out the person's energy at first, it can be, you know, it's just on a psychic level. It's not really mediumship yet. So you're just kind of, you know, grabbing for the information, and then you kind of have to wait to see if that person's deceased, if they'll actually talk to you. So if that happens, then it's more along the lines of, okay, yeah, you're dealing with a deceased person here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense. So the more you practice with pictures and connecting to spirit or thought, the more you hone that skill.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Because we're actually going to be working on that as far as locating missing people, that kind of thing, in time. Mm-hmm. Once we get the team here, get the team settled into the headquarters area, and then we'll be able to work on some other areas with FMP.
Yeah.
Now, Markham. Yeah, I am too, because you know, we tried it once for a minute a couple of years ago. It didn't work out. I'd like to try it again with specific cases. Now, Markham, anything scientific you want to add as far as areas you want to work on building on?
I'm sorry, I got distracted a moment. What were you? I heard you, but there was also some background noise going on here in the lab that had my attention.
So, on a scientific level, is there any technology you want to work on as far as helping enhance what we do?
Oh God, yeah, but I think I need to be on the other side too. I need to get in the astral. Somehow I got to get out of this meat suit I'm wearing, and once I do, I can see things on that side, and then do things on the material side. I think it's just a matter of I got to get a foot in both. I got to get a foot in both worlds to get my, you know, work out some, fine-tune some ideas I have. But yeah, I've got all kinds of crazy crap I'm thinking of doing. Time and money.
Join the crowd.
You having crazy stuff going on that you're thinking about? I can't picture that.
Oh, yeah.
We're a little bit of a crazy, adventurous group here for sure.
He said meat suit.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, I'd like to do. There's some research I'd like to do, and there's some detection methods that I think we could work out. But it just requires a controlled environment and a predictable, you know, I need somebody to do this now at a given time, you know, in an experiment or in a testing phase. It would have to be somebody I knew was accurate. Say, okay, I need you to be at these coordinates right now at this time in this place to work out the details.
Well, what I would like to try is taking the Astral team and see if they can be picked up on an SLS camera.
You probably can.
Well, here's a wonderful thought
fun.
for you. If you want to try something really trippy, take your Astral Dream and take them into a Psychomantium. By the way.
Yes. My room, the room I sleep in is almost by definition a Psychomantium. I've got an antique dresser that belonged to my grandmother that has a wishbone frame mirror in it. The room is just as dark as it can be because I've tinfoiled up over the window, and if I can get in before the cats get in and I can shut the door behind myself,
Then they sit there and scream.
Yeah, so BB does. He'll yell outside the window or outside the door, and it's just a matter of giving it 15 minutes. But anyway, it's my understanding of Psychomantium is you have a chair in front of a mirror. The room is dark, and the only light source is behind the chair, and the rest of the room is dark.
Yeah.
So that's basically.
I've heard of that, but I haven't tried it.
Well, I'd want to, but I don't want to do it. I want something. I want to be able to substantiate what's there, and I'm looking for. Oh wait, I've got one. Never mind. It just dawned on me. I've got an old Sony NT. It doesn't matter what the model number is. It's got Night Shot, but it uses the little 8mm cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what not VHS-C, but it was actually the little 8mm. I need to mess with them.
I think they were called High 8.
That's it. High 8s, yes. So that's something like that.
It's funny because we were just talking about that today at training. Actually, is the more old school your equipment is, the more accurate your technology is. It came up in FMP actually. All the teams that are out there today, and they all talk technology. Well, I disagree in that technology can be manipulated by both the human side as well as the paranormal side. So technology is not the fix-it-all for the paranormal.
I think in a lot of cases, the older the tech, one, it's more reliable, and in a lot of ways. I mean, you get some of these old reel-to-reel decks, and oh my God, you could just about, you could knock somebody out with the damn thing, and it would still run. Some of the old cassette decks.
More often than not?
And the digital, with the digitals, they were so worried about getting all the the noise out, in the sense that I think they actually took away what the spirits used to manipulate to make an EVP.
Yep.
I get much better. I get better results with the. Matter of fact, you heard it, Coop. You heard it, and did I play it for my demonstration? Yeah. I think I did.
Yeah, I think you did.
My little 3-inch. Yeah. That's a noisy format. Those tapes were made cheap and abundantly. The primary thing people did with them is they recorded messages to their loved ones in, overseas in Vietnam. They even came in a mailer. They had an address card with the tapes. They were mass-produced. They were noisy. You got a lot of white noise on them, and it's so easy to pick stuff up with that old school. Now, if you go into cassettes and you start getting into like the chromium dioxide, metal type, here again, I think you're defeating the purpose. Go back to the old normal bias, the one that us kids used to use. Now, this is aging myself, where you used to listen. You had your cassette deck next to your radio So the song you like came on. Yeah. It's like sitting there, and face it, the top 20 stations, you could just about predict if song A came on, song B was going to come on pretty close. So have your fingers how many of us had a mixtape that was missing the first couple seconds of every song all that time?
Oh, Lord, no, we never did that.
Oh, and I was so happy when they finally came out with a radio that had a built-in tape deck, because then I'd have to, hold the tape deck next to the radio. Oh my God, I like that song, hit record.
Yep.
When I bought I think I was in the Navy before I got my first boom box.
I'm so happy talking with you guys. I don't feel like the old person in the room. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not.
and that's what's funny is, most of the Forest Moon Paranormal team, we're all over 30. Most of us are, I think Corey's probably, as far as the boots on ground, Sarah and Corey are probably the youngest. Maybe Brett.
I'm 40.
But, the rest of us are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Hey, I'm 40.
We're very old school when it comes to, and that's why I say, it
must be nice.
In training today, we went over the emergency pack, and there's not a lot of technology on the list. Basic EMF meter, basic camera, and I have a dual digital digital thermometer, and a basic recorder. That's all we need. That's all we use. We don't even try to get EVPs most of the time because we're an emergency response team. We're not here to prove the paranormal. We know the paranormal exists. We're there to clear. That's our job. So when it comes to tech, it's a nicety, but not a necessity.
Well, I finally bought some of the gear. I've got one thing that picks up the microwaves and does a very good job, because where I've been sitting the last few years at home, where I have a wireless keyboard, it pegs the needle on that thing. So, but I got the tri-field meter that has all the, the two magnetic fields, and I got this really cool little camera. I splurged a little bit when I bought all this crap after I'd been working all that overtime. It's a actual FLIR branded. It's called a C2. It's about the size of a smartphone, maybe a little smaller, and it has the FLIR technology, the forward-looking infrared, but it also has visible light at the same time. So what you get is an outline of everything, but then you get the heat, the visible light gives you the outline, so you can see books on a shelf or, the details of the room, but then the FLIR overlay is on top of that. So it's like you see the cat, the outline of the cat and the features of the cat, but you also see the heat signature. And I'm loving that thing.
Yeah, those are way cool.
That sounds pretty cool.
Love those things. I'd love to have one myself, but they're might spendy.
Yeah, I hunted around on eBay and bargain hunted for a month, and I think the best I did was $4 something. So it's not something I'm casually saying, oh yeah, you can just go out and buy that. It was $479, and that was the best deal I could find on it, looking for a long time.
Oof, yeah.
So, but there again, I had worked, oh God, I'd probably put in a couple 60, 70-hour weeks. So I had it to spend at the time. Now I'm back to living payday to payday. But,
Should we say don't spend so much?
Huh?
I said, should we say don't spend so much?
No, because I really have nobody. I don't have anybody. Face it, I got nobody to leave it to. You know, the state's just going to get what I don't spend.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you my address and what have you.
Yeah, all equipment goes to FMP.
Yeah, I probably ought to. Yeah, I probably ought to set something up. Come to think of it,
might be an idea just on a thought. I mean, you know, there comes a point, like, I haven't done that yet either, but then, you know, I've been dead so often that I just got fed up with doing the paperwork.
Hmm.
So,
and we have
I was making sure my phone didn't cut.
No, you're good so far.
It's going on that time. I'm good. Maybe the snow is keeping my phone going.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So
that's odd that we've gone this long without losing you.
Oh, now we've said it. He'll now he said it'll
drop.
Yeah, jinx that
Yeah,
stuff.
you just shot yourself in the foot.
The phone gnomes will hear him and say, "I don't know."
Wow.
It's like we have. We kind of have a superstition in my field. Somebody says, you know, how's your night going? You say, well, yeah, you don't
say the Q word.
You do not, because the lab fairies hang out in the corners and they have gigantic radar-shaped ears, and they wait to hear that word so that they can hit the reverse switch.
Hey, I swear by it.
That's if you work in the emergency room.
Yeah.
If you work in the emergency room, you never comment about how nice and quiet it is tonight.
Oh Lord,
because in 5 minutes.
Hey, does anybody?
It'll get you,
got any,
sure.
You guys that do the actual get out there and do investigations, do you got any practical experience with the Mel meter?
I don't yet, but Mike Morin does.
No.
Okay, I'll get a hold of it because I've got. Yeah, I went all out. I bought the cell phone EMF meter. I got the Mel meter 8704R with the laser grid pen, and I got the FLIR C2 pocket-size infrared thermal camera, and I got the tri-field. You know, I got all this crap. I don't know how to use it. But, you know, I got an idea, but I mean, I don't know what, like, I'm not sure what a Mel meter is really supposed to find, and, you know, it's just all part of gathering the data and trying to find the science behind this stuff.
Trying to remember, but I think the Mel meter works off of electromagnetic, atmospheric pressure, and temperature, I believe.
It seems to me that, it sounds about it. It seems to me the guy that invented it thought he was communicating with his dead daughter or something. It was one of the things I read. So I got all this stuff and then got back to actively working overtime again. So I really haven't had. And then I had stuff with family show, you know, mom and dad. So if I'm not at work, I'm usually over there. So I really haven't had a chance to play with it much. I did take the C2, the FLIR camera with me because Mom and Dad have been having black bear issues. And I thought, well, I'll scan outside before I walk in the dark up to the door, just in case.
And you get to play with a toy. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think we lost Cooper.
I knew it.
See?
You got to, yeah.
What? Oh, he thought he was going to get lost.
You just about set your watch by it.
Just about.
Well, we know we're going to lose him. It's a question of when.
It will happen.
Yes.
And besides that, how could we possibly call this an S4 if we didn't lose Coop?
Exactly. Now, if I can just get it to let me put him back in, that'd be great. It's gonna be a jerk.
Oh, great.
Yeah. doesn't want to let me add him back in.
Why not?
I don't know.
Like you.
Yeah, might as well, right?
It would be kind of nice to have the host and
Let's let the host back in.
Oh, isn't the host just the guy that's supposed to open the door so we can get in here to play?
Sounds like the grown-up left the building.
Yeah.
Do I remember days like that when I was younger? Heck, I
Hey,
remember
y'all,
days
Coops.
like that when I was older.
Oh, come on.
Hey, y'all, Coop's gone.
Yeah.
Hey, oh no, that's when the cat's away the mouse will play, not when the mouse is away the cat will play.
Oh, he is listening, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, I'm listening, laughing my ass off. Well, get back in here. You're the host.
Our pair of boss is awesome.
Hurry up.
He just won't. Oh, come on.
Turn the phone back on, Coop.
Turn the phone back on. Yeah, there's an idea. No. We aren't playing.
I know.
Damn
He says, ha, ha, ha to you guys.
Yeah, he's calling us the damn mice.
Yeah. It's not.
Squeak?
It is not letting me add him back in.
Yeah.
It's driving me nuts.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, don't go play Skype on your mental state.
If we were all in the same room, yeah, can't find Coop. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
You must have fallen off of reality.
I wonder if that's gonna,
I hate Skype sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
Yeah, pretty much all the time.
More often than not, I end up where people can't phone me on Skype, but I can phone them.
Yeah, had that.
I had to take it off all my machines because it just was. I guess eventually I'm going to have to buy a special computer just for, running Skype. I haven't needed it lately, so I haven't really missed it.
Bigfoot. He's blaming it on Bigfoot. We hear you.
Yeah, I don't think that's one of the possibilities.
This is frustrating.
Speaking about,
let's hope he wasn't abducted, you guys, and we got to go get him back now.
No, just wait a few minutes. They'll pay us to take him back.
Yeah. Let's not forget we're talking about Coop here. They abduct him. He's taking the ship.
Well, I got to wonder if astral people there on the astral team can see into the material world. That means there's an interaction there somehow. There's got to be a way to quantify that, and that's some of the things I would like to experiment with. Is being able to detect an astral traveler. There's got to be some way to phase the energy through the field. I just, there's so many questions I have about that. I'll never live long enough to answer them all. Hopefully I can just get it started and somebody can run with it after I'm gone.
Well, do what I did. Yeah. Do what I did there, Preacher. When you turn it around and you get ready to pass away, set yourself up to come back in a hurry. That's what I did my last life.
No, I
passed away
don't.
in 56 and got back here in 63.
I hope to God I don't have to come back again. I pretty much.
Yeah, that's the idea. Tell God your plans. Give him a giggle.
Yeah. No, I just think I'd like at least a few millennia of oblivion this time through.
Yeah, that ain't likely to happen. But it is a nice dream. It's kind of like dreaming the government is here to help.
I think I pulled him back.
All right, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here.
We're talking about him.
Welcome back.
Oh, I was listening. I want to address this real quick, though, because Tripp's got a good question. Can an astrolert be able to move objects? So, there
I've always
is
been under the
a way.
impression, no.
There is a way. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of training. A basic astral traveler, no.
I was going to say,
But
then doesn't an astral traveler, they can move things, essentially become on the same energy levels of poltergeist or like an active spirit?
Essentially. But there's a way, Disney knows how to do it. But you can, and I can't even begin to think about how to explain it, but there is a way you can actually do kind of like a poltergeist, or you see in the movies portrayed where a spirit can poke or pull hair, and you hear clients talk about that.
It's psychokinetic energy that you're working with that you channel through the astral plane from the base root of the traveler, but the traveler's got to have a basic understanding of psychokinetics first in order to be able to modify it.
Perfect explanation. I couldn't think of how to explain it any better. Basically, moving your hand through a dimension, which takes a whole lot of energy. It's kind of like learning how to focus your hand through a dimension to knock a glass over, for example. It can be done. Very hard to do. And, yeah, it's a skill you got to learn all in itself.
Well, would it be like, in a way, can you get past even having to wave the physical hand and just go straight to will becomes, or intention becomes outcome?
Psychokinesis.
Yeah. Well, kind of like Keith calls it, a battle of wills. You got to will yourself to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and beating your own will can be the biggest pain in the neck on the planet.
Well, I can get you there, because I've been trying for God knows how many years, and I probably in the last 10 years have gotten close to, gotten that buzzy kind of free fall feeling 3 times in the last decade, and haven't been able to get past that stage. So it's a very difficult to beat, the doubter or the skeptic inside your own mind.
Oh Lord, yeah.
And and I'm predisposed to believe it, and still can't get past that stage. At least not consciously. I think sometimes in dream state I travel, but not as far as to be able to control it and say, well, tonight I'll meet you all wherever we're going to meet. Now I can't even get close to that. That's a dream.
And we'll work on you. You will be astral by the end of the year.
It will probably take an astral tow truck.
Is that a threat or an offer?
Sis and I will drag him out, one on one side, one on the other.
That may be what it takes. It may be okay, you're
sometimes
out
it
now.
does. Yeah, it sometimes does.
Skeptic, the scientist and the skeptic is going to have to be just basically have reality whip out its. Well, let me rephrase that. It's going to take a paradigm shifting slap in the face to get past the part that
your highly analytical brain.
Well, I'm on all the time. You figure, in any given week, that part that I make my living with, that I analyze, that analytical part is what I spend the most of my time living in. The fun side that believes in ghosts and UFOs and astral projection and, the stuff that can't be quite as well quantified doesn't come out to play as much as I'd like it to. I have to live in I have to live in the part of my brain that keeps the cat food in the bowl and, the roof over my head, sadly.
Yeah, there's always that pain in the neck. No, I have the same argument when people talk to me about skydiving. They keep saying, well, just go up and try it. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, perfectly good aircraft, you want me to skydive, you're going to have to throw me out. Because I can't see the point in getting out.
I'm not doing that either.
Jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. That's like getting on it, being in the subservice, climbing on a boat that's designed to sink.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, every boat I know of will sink given a little bit of work. But I mean, people talk about it being a rush. Like when we were on break, we were talking about the issue of Astral and the dangers. And I'm like, there's dangers there? I grew up on the Astral plane.
Yeah, some people did. That's like Donna and them, yeah.
But that being said...
Maybe not like you, but...
Coop keeps dropping out on us here.
Years ago, I got told that you come here, you're supposed to spend, you're supposed to experience the physical world and, stay in your body. I looked at the person, I said, well, I am. And she never missed a heartbeat. She goes, 10% of the time does not count.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I've done sleep astral a couple of times, not really in control of it. But I really don't know how to do it. I'm curious to know how. We'll see.
Well,
I think the flying dreams are probably. I've often thought that maybe the flying dreams were, dream astral, but there was enough of the conscious mind left that was trying to put it in a framework I could understand.
Ultimately, that is correct. Flight without an aerial conveyance is your astral plane.
And usually they start with something like just, jumping, and then it's like, hey, that jump was kind of cool. Or my favorite one ever was I was in this beautifully well-paved, smooth parking lot. And I used to roller skate my butt off when I was younger. And I have this huge glass smooth parking lot, and I start skating, and then eventually the skating becomes flying, and then, hey, I'm off.
I haven't quite figured out why, but I'm usually, when I'm astral traveling, I'm usually doing it sitting down. And I mean, in the astral plane, maybe I'm lazy, I don't know.
That's funny.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, you got a Wonder Woman jet.
Yeah,
I was just thinking that.
Oh yeah, that's right. She had the invisible jet.
Yeah,
she did. I always wondered how she found it. You keep running into the thing before you realize where it is.
But the more you practice, the more you work on it, the better you achieve being able to astral consciously instead of, we've had some team members that actually had to go to sleep before they could astral on a case.
Yeah.
I think I've been practicing so long without the effect that once I get there, all that, the last 20 years of trying, it's going to be, I'm primed, what I guess is what I'm saying. I am primed for when the success happens. I think all that practice will not have been in vain, or that every night trying. So it'll be probably a step ahead.
Just remember. Look, you just remember once you master it, I don't suggest you drive while astraling.
No, but it is
definitely not to begin with.
No, definitely not. But it is kind of a shocker for the other drivers.
I bet it is.
There's actually some, I read some accounts about this where a guy was going down the road and all of a sudden his astral body separated and he was above the car, and what brought him back was the shock of if I'm here. Well, no. Apparently the whatever was in the body, whatever was left of the consciousness, was still driving the car.
Yeah, it's a remote drive.
Like if you're on a route that you drive a lot. Well, yeah. Right. I used to drive. I used to have a hell of a commute. I lived in Hertford, North Carolina, but my job was about 3.5 hours away in Morehead City, and I would come to and think, have I gone through Little Washington yet? Have I turned left at, or right at the, there would be points where, wait a minute, where was I and where am I now?
And that may account, and that may also account for missing time with some non-abductees.
I think it
just
does.
Because you're, just because you're missing 2 or 3 hours, maybe you were consciously astraling, and no abduction occurred.
Well,
that could well be. That could well be.
There's another possibility for that distance issue, not knowing if you made a left, right, or whatever turn, and that's if you hit a pocket wormhole. Because I've hit those before where my odometer has been 100 kilometers off of what it should have been to get where I'm going, with witnesses in the car.
Awkward.
Well,
I used to do this by myself, so I never knew what was, I'd just come to, and it's like, wonder where I am on this trip.
something that people forget too is that when you're astraling, you're still attached to your body. You have to be. So you still got that function, because if you completely separate yourself from your body, it's likely that sucker's just going to die. So there's still some attachment there. You're hooked up to it.
Not 100% accurate, but on the whole, you are correct. The greater majority of people, if you don't stay connected, you keel over. There are a few of us that don't bother with the cord. Of course, when I learned to astral travel, I didn't want to be here.
Well, and I'm not even talking. I'm not even talking about the cord part. There's still just an energy connection between the body and your astral body, because if you completely and thoroughly sever that energy connection, you may not get back to your body, for one, and for two, the body may just quit.
Which is the may is correct. You just have to remember when you astral travel, you're hooking straight to the neural net.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we are
the Matrix.
Actually at the top of the hour. Been a great show, as it always is. And don't forget, next week is a grab bag. It's going to be an awesome show about disclosure again and UFO current events. So thank you, panel, for being here. Been an awesome show. Go ahead and take us home, Corey.
Okay, I'm going to do that here. We'll take this thing on out of here. I would like to thank our panel tonight, Mr. Eric Markham, our FMP scientist, R. Keith Andrews, astrologer and alien specialist for FMP, Sarah Camp, our FMP medium, Bonnie Smith of our FMP astral team, and Sam Wynn of our FMP aftercare team. Join us next Saturday at midnight Pacific Standard Time as we ask, is UFO disclosure coming? We're going to have somebody here that's going to be able to try to get a few more UFO guys in here to talk with us, so that's going to be a great show. You can find us on Spreaker.com, SpacedOutRadio.com, and The Fringe FM. I would like to thank all of our listeners, because without you, there is no S4. Good night, and remember, keep your eyes to the skies.